Fox Force 5. Fox as in we're a bunch of foxy chicks. Force as in we're a force to be reckoned with. 5 as in there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. Pulp Fiction.
You're listening to Writing Roots, brought to you by Aspen House Publishing.
Welcome to Writing Roots. I'm Lee Hull.
And I'm Lee Esses. Today we are talking about something very similar to what we were talking about a week ago when we were discussing 7. Today we're talking about 5. These are treated similarly in storytelling because of the nature of groups and sets in general. So when we're talking about 5, we're talking about equal parts. Instead of 7, it was really a sequence of first red and then orange and then yellow and then green, blah, blah, blah. With 5, you can name them in any order. Name the 5 senses and you'll get 5 different ways that people list them off.
It's also really common theming in particularly fantasy settings or sci-fi settings to have 5 of something. Look at Fifth Element. There's 4 elements, but in this particular movie, there's a 5th.
In video games, I see this a lot with gods. 5 is a good number because we can remember them and go, oh yeah, this god is attributed to this class or profession or whatever. But neither of them is above any of the others. So Guild Wars is the one that comes to mind because that's the one I've been playing a lot lately.
And that's the theme that I pulled into one of my books is 5 gods. There are 5 gods, there are 5 seasons, and everything spins around the number 5 because it's an easy enough one to remember, but diverse enough that I get to have a variety in my magic system as a result.
So most of the time in storytelling, when you see this in a lot of your favorite stories, it tends to be the 4 plus 1. There's the 4 elements plus the magic 5th element. You see this in something like the Discworld series. They literally call the 5th element the element of surprise. Or in the Dresden Files, you've got spirit and life that is bound together by will.
In the Diablo novels, time is considered to be the 5th element. And then in a lot of Japanese folklore, it will use the void or aether as a 5th element.
You'll also see this 4 plus 1 happen in a couple of other ways. This happens when you start to get that first amongst equals vibe going, something like Sailor Moon, where you've got the 4 other members of the team, and then she's not technically a planet, she's a satellite, she's special, she's Sailor Moon, but there are still 5 people in the team.
I use this in the story that I was building that I mentioned I have the 5 gods. In the cultural beliefs of the people that worship these 5 gods, 4 of the gods were willing to give their powers to the people and have representatives on Earth to be able to enact their will through their magic. But the 5th god, the god of death, keeps hers to herself because it's too dangerous. Except that's not actually what it is. There are necromancers, and that's kind of the plot of my story.
You'll also see this 4 plus 1 pop up quite a bit when you have a team, often a team of heroes or superheroes, these kind of characters, for something like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You have the 4 Ninja Turtles and then their kind of token human April. So you've got the 4 plus 1.
When you said the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I was thinking the rat as the plus 1.
Yeah, he's a mentor character. But yes, I can also see that happen. But she ends up contributing as a team member quite a bit.
Yeah, and I would also look at Scooby-Doo as an example of this. You have Fred and Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, and then you have Scooby-Doo the dog for some reason. And a lot of the times in this kind of orientation, you'll end up with the characters splitting off into couples in some way. You have Fred and Daphne that are often put in a relationship together. Occasionally, Shaggy and Velma have ended up together, but it's never really worked out. And then Scooby-Doo is that 5th wheel. Or if you really want to look at it, Velma is the 5th wheel because Shaggy and Scooby-Doo often are the couple that go out together in their investigations.
I also feel like Velma's kind of that tiebreaker, which is part of the role of that 5th person in the team. Even though on the surface it seems like Scooby should be the odd man out, I think Velma. Maybe that's just because I sympathize with her a little more, but...
Yeah, if you look at that makeup with this idea where you have the power couple, that's Fred and Daphne. They're the beautiful ones. They're particularly good at what they do. And then you have the cute or quirky couple, that's Shaggy and Scooby. They are quirky because they are just kind of high and focused on food all the time. And then there's Velma, who's actually rational and looks at things logically that can break the tie between overly excited and too distracted by food.
In that case, I sympathize more with Shaggy and Scooby.
Agreed.
Another time you will see this 4+1 in a slightly more sophisticated manner would be something like the Now You See Me movies, where you've got the 4 horsemen and then the 5th horseman magician character who is there and active behind the scenes, but not technically part of the team. He's kind of leading them on throughout the movie.
The other way that 5 is represented in storytelling and used in storytelling is a way to make decisions. So, Big Bang Theory, you have rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. The 5 is an important part because you have to have kind of a tiebreaker side of things.
You will also see this again with the gods in video games that I was talking about earlier. One of the things that's come to mind is Magic the Gathering has the 5 different elements. A really key part of this is that no one is superior. They might shift. It might be this person, it might be that person, it might be this color or that one or whatever. But there's a time and a place where rock will always beat out scissors, but paper will always beat out rock. There's a balance between them, so we don't have them in any order. It's the branches of government keeping each other in check, but there are 5 of them.
It's not quite the same, but the example that came to mind for me was in Epic the Musical, and you had the song God Games, where Zeus picks 5 other gods to be a deciding factor in whether or not Odysseus gets released. And it is very similar. Each one has their own motivations, each one has their own ideas, but the 5 of them together are able to be a good balance and actual judgment of if he should be released or not. Zeus just wasn't very smart in picking if he wanted to win.
Well, he could have, picked Hermes? Or, Athena? I mean, there are ones that are also on Odysseus' side there.
That's true.
And at least he didn't pick Poseidon. And you will see this go hand in hand with our next point, which is the number 5 will represent a completeness and a unity. So with 4, there's often an extra somewhere that's that 4+1. Where, yes, it's a good set, but it doesn't necessarily feel complete. If we combined scent and taste as far as our 5 senses, then we would be down to 4, and it wouldn't feel quite as right. That's why we've got the 5 fingers and the fist and that kind of thing. It's ingrained in our physiology as much as it is how we think, in that 5 is complete and total.
I think that's a lot of why you will see a 5-member team for things. We talked about it with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We talked about it with Sailor Moon. You also see it in something like Power Rangers or superheroes with something like the Suicide Squad. 5 is just a very good, complete number to help convey an idea of strength and power, along with diversity among the team.
And you'll also see in a more modern setting, especially boy bands tend to have 5. Vocal groups tend to have 5 members, pentatonics, penta, 5. You'll see it musically as far as the group of people that are needed in order to make the music feel complete. I was just Googling. NSYNC does have 5 members, and that was the only boy band I could come up with, so.
NSYNC and Backstreet Boys both had 5 members. And part of the reason why 5 to us feels so complete and whole could just be related to how the human body is formed and what makes a complete whole human body. We have 5 in a lot of things. 5 fingers on each hand, 5 toes on each foot. Even limbs come in sort of 5. You have 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head. Even though you may have some cases where one of those pieces are a first among equals or a slightly stronger version. The head is superior to the leg because the head is where our thought comes from. It's where, in many cases, our being feels like it's located.
And I'm just going to say the head feels superior because the head told us so. it's very possible that my knee is actually the superior joint here.
Yeah, the head has a lot of opinions.
And I think the eyes are in the head and the ears, so a lot of our experience as far as the external world and our connection with people and books and chocolate cake and things, it all happens in the head. Anyway, when you are putting together a team of 5 or thinking about using 5 as a basis for the culture in your book, this will be a really great option as far as especially pantheons and magic systems, these kinds of things. Because you have this internal balance where everyone keeps each other in check, and you can also kind of have this secret, this either token human character amongst the Ninja Turtles or the first amongst equals where you've got Sailor Moon and then the rest of the planets. Having this 4+1 creates a lot of great drama in your story, as well as makes your story feel complete and real. Because there's enough variety of options of who would the necromancer follow, but there's still a solid answer to the question. Your readers can anticipate what that answer is because your world is clearly defined. 5 is kind of that magic balance between the two. So when you're putting together your story, consider throwing this number in, and then
Write selfishly.
If you have a question or comment for our hosts or a topic you'd like us to cover, send us an email at writingroots@aspenhousepublishing.com or find us on Facebook by searching for Aspen House Publishing.